Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Okay, so today we're tackling something pretty amazing. The raw, sometimes chaotic, always revealing world inside the Andy Warhol Diaries.
Yeah, this is a big one.
If you want the real backstage pass to the whole 70s and 80s glitterati scene, the gossip, the money, even the weirdly corporate side of it all, this is definitely where you find it.
It absolutely is. I mean, critics jumped on it right away, called it extraordinarily revealing, a remarkable tour. One even said it revels in nakedness.
Hmm.
And it's not just about his art. It's like this incredibly detailed social x-ray of high society when it was, let's be honest, completely over the top.
Right. So our mission today really is to go past just the juicy stories, though there are plenty.
Oh,
We want to pull out the key bits that show you how Warhol saw the world, how that celebrity empire actually worked as a business, and, what it was really like to be in that famous, kind of dazzling, but often pretty anxious inner circle.
uh-huh.
Okay, so let's start with Warhol himself. Or maybe how he talked and wrote. Because reading the diaries, you notice straight away, he didn't really communicate like other people.
Not at all. He filtered everything through this really specific, idiosyncratic linguistic lens. It tells you so much about his frame of mind.
So what are some of those quirks? What really stands out?
Well, the contradictions are fascinating. He just throws them out there so casually, like it's normal.
Yeah,
Think about describing someone as a cute little creep or, summing up a night out by saying, it was so much fun I had to leave.
that one's classic.
And it wasn't just occasional, it feels structural, like how he processed things, a total detachment from maybe conventional meaning.
And the scale thing. His sense of quantity or size just seems broken.
Completely. It's almost funny. Every story gets stretched. Someone who's, say, 5'2" becomes 2 feet tall in the diary.
Uh-huh.
Or if he had a busy evening, it wasn't just a few parties. It was always 18 parties to go to.
Like he had to inflate his own life, for the record.
Yeah, maybe. Or just make it sound more dramatic.
He also had that running gag about his early career, right? The labeling.
Yes, the commercial art days. Almost every single person he knew from back then, and we're talking hundreds of people he refers to them as.
The person who gave me my first job.
Exactly. It's key because it acknowledges the past, sure, but it also kind of flattens everyone's individual importance. It's like saying, yeah, I remember you, but you're just one part of that whole phase.
That line between the individual and the group seems really important to how he saw his whole operation, too. We think of Warhol and the royal we, but the diaries show he was specific about it.
Oh, that's a crucial point. When he talked about the business side, the later stuff, post-factory, the magazine, the parties, the movies, it was always our movies, our magazine,
Right, the collective.
the corporate entity. But the second he mentioned his own art, his painting, it snapped right back to the singular, my painting, my work.
Interesting.
It's this moment of surprising clarity. He's drawing a line. This is the team, the business, and this is my personal inner art thing.
And that collective, the famous factory, it had to change eventually, didn't it? To handle the fame, the money?
Oh, absolutely. By 74, he basically said factory sounded too corny.
Huh? Oh.
So the whole operation physically moved and just became the office,
Right.
and that marked a real shift. Paul Morrissey, who was huge in the 60s, kind of drifted away from the core team.
So who are the key people running the office then, the ones you need to know about?
Well, Fred Hughes was central on the business side. Fred was the ultimate manager, pragmatic, handled the deals, the money, made sure Warhol's celebrity paid the bills. He was the gatekeeper. And Vincent Fremont, who came in around 69, he became the general office manager, dealing with all the day-to-day stuff. It really went from being this sort of art commune to more like a celebrity brand management agency.
But even with all that corporate structure, the diary shows Warhol was still, well, human and kind of vulnerable.
Yeah, the contrast is constant. You've got this huge cultural figure obsessed with image, right? But then you read about his crippling health anxieties.
Like the food thing.
Exactly. Had to avoid all creamy food because of his gallbladder. And then there's that really startling bit where he worries you could catch cancer from other people after her friend's wife passed away.
Wow.
It's just this very private fear popping up right next to all the glitz and celebrity.
Okay, let's pivot to one of the main engines of that whole scene, Interview magazine. Under Bob Colacello, it carved out this really unique identity, didn't it? Almost like a parody of itself.
Oh, completely. It was trying to be, get this, politically conservative and sexually androgynous at the same time.
How does that even work?
Only they could pull it off, I guess. Colacello, who, famously dropped the I from his name, He built this super visible, super cynical platform.
And didn't he have some kind of ridiculous mission statement for it?
He explained it once, apparently laughing, that they were dedicated to the restoration of the world's most glamorous and most forgotten dictatorships and monarchies.
Seriously?
Yeah. I mean, that tells you everything about the tone, right? Super elite, deeply ironic, zero interest in being mainstream.
So who was reading this thing?
Well, one survey apparently found the average interview reader had something like 0.001 children.
0.001. Okay.
Exactly. It was a magazine for the world's most fabulous oddballs, a very specific niche.
But that niche status, that coolness, that was actual currency, wasn't it? Especially when Fred Hughes and the team tied it to Warhol's portraits.
Oh, yeah, they were masters at converting that glamour into cash. They knew how to connect the art to commerce.
Like that rum deal.
The Rums of Puerto Rico deal, perfect example. They basically traded 3 months of rum ads in interview for a Liza Minnelli portrait endorsement. The painting wasn't just art, it was like corporate collateral.
And just getting a Warhol portrait was such a huge deal, it could dictate other negotiations entirely.
Totally. Look at the Burt Reynolds story. His manager says Burt's endorsement is worth $1 million. Fine. But then he tells the ad agency they should be thrilled if Burt just sends a midget and a dwarf for the actual commercial shoot.
Wait, what?
Simply because Burt himself really wanted a Warhol portrait out of the deal. The portrait desire basically canceled out the need for the star to even show up for the ad.
That is incredible leverage. Just the status symbol alone.
The ultimate status symbol leverage. But, this mix of irony and business wasn't always easy for Warhol himself.
Right. He worried about the portrait politics.
Yeah, definitely. There's a bit where he's specifically stressing about getting pushed into doing a Ronald Reagan poster after making some offhand comment he meant as a joke. He was the main product of his own machine, and sometimes that machine wanted things that made him uncomfortable, that maybe chipped away at that ironic distance he liked.
And the merchandise angle went pretty wide too, right?
Yeah.
Mixing high fashion with something else.
Oh, the Halston and the Girl Scout thing, that's pure pop art brilliance.
Tell us about that.
So Halston, like one of the biggest names in fashion, designs uniforms for Girl Scout leaders. For free. Specifically the pants, which then sold for only $25.
Wow.
It's genius. Suddenly, regular women all over America could afford a Halston piece. It takes something super exclusive and makes it totally mass market.
Okay, now we get into the really juicy stuff. Studio 54. The diary isn't just about the parties, it's about the social dynamics, the high stakes of who you knew, who you were seen with.
Exactly. The personal dynamics were incredibly volatile, especially with the owners, like Steve Rebell.
Right, Warhol mentions him a lot.
Yeah. He writes that Rebell was initially madly in love with him, but then suddenly things turned cool after Warhol started hanging out with someone else, Henry Post.
So alliances shifted fast.
Overnight, who you were seen with could completely change your standing in that world. It was brutal.
And it wasn't all just fun and games, right? The law got involved sometimes.
Oh, yeah. The office actually got a call from the FBI at one point. There were rumors flying around about cocaine use, things hitting the news, even naming people like Hamilton Jordan from the Carter administration.
So it wasn't a totally private bubble?
Not at all. It was being watched, documented, and, potentially investigated.
And this was also a world where shock value was almost weaponized.
Yeah.
Deliberately crafted. Like Victor Hugo's pants.
Oh, God, the pants.
Yeah.
That just shows how far they'd go for calculated outrage.
Explain them, because it's memorable.
Okay, so Victor had these custom punk pants made with a hole right at the bottom of the zipper, specifically designed so his cock to hang through.
What?
But crucially, it wasn't immediately obvious. It had to be, revealed. The shock was part of the design, the performance of it.
That level of planned outrageousness is
Right.
just wow. And that's just the stuff people could see. The diary digs into much deeper, more private crises behind the celebrity masks.
Absolutely. Think about Bianca Jagger. Halston tells the story of her showing up totally distressed, demanding, "Give me every drug you've got."
Seriously.
And Halston apparently just hands her a bottle of Coke, 4 Quaaludes, marijuana, and Valium.
Jeez.
It's like high glamour just completely collapsing. And then later you read about her being terrified of photographers seeing her with a drugged Steve Rubell. They wanted the fame, but they were scared of the reality being captured.
And the love lives incredibly tangled and messy and seemingly out in the open sometimes.
Halston was the source for a lot of that gossip. He lays out this whole messy affair Liza Minnelli was having.
Oh, who?
With Martin Scorsese and Baryshnikov at the same time. And apparently her husband, Jack Haley, was just standing there while it was all happening.
No way.
It just speaks to this level of emotional chaos the public never really glimpsed.
And then you get these clashes between the old guard, like the Kennedys, and this new culture of constant documentation that Warhol represented. The Jackie O incident is amazing.
Oh, it's perfect irony. So they're at this benefit for the International Center of Photography. First, some random girl starts screaming at Fred Hughes not to open a window, acting really erratically.
Okay.
Then the same girl starts screaming at Warhol that he absolutely cannot take pictures of Jackie O. But Warhol just walks into the next room, and what does he find? 4,000 photographers taking pictures of Jackie. The irony is just killer. The one person told not to document the scene is the guy whose whole life is about documenting the scene.
And the story doesn't end there, does it? Jackie O called him.
Yeah. Later, Jackie herself calls Warhol, and he describes her sounding tough. She makes it really clear she invited him, Andy, not Bob Colacello. Why? Because Bob writes things.
Wow. She knew exactly who was dangerous.
She knew the hierarchy, she knew who documented, who interpreted, and who maybe she thought she could control.
And finally, you get these brilliant little snapshots, just unfiltered moments of social awkwardness or paranoia.
Totally unscripted stuff, like Kitty Miller getting drunk at CZ Guest's very proper Christmas party and just yelling, "I can't speak Spanish," right at the Spanish ambassador.
Oh my God.
Or the weird paranoia, like Robin Williams' wife Valerie apparently running everything and being terrified her husband might be a fairy if he went to Fire Island by himself.
It's the mundane anxieties right underneath all the glitter.
Exactly. #tag5.
Yeah.
The struggle for authenticity and connection.
So, stepping back from all the gossip and deals, the diary really shows Warhol struggling, right? Trying to find some kind of control or connection in this world he helped create.
Yeah, and his anxieties weren't just about fame or image. They were really personal, really physical.
Like what?
Like the paranoia extending down to, well, body lice. He writes about staying at the Ritz and immediately feeling like he has to check himself for crabs.
Seriously. At the Ritz.
Yeah. It's this constant sense of potential contamination, maybe, both internal and external.
And his relationship with drugs seems complicated too. He was around it constantly, but anxious about it himself.
Very anxious. He saw taking drugs himself as bad image. He was definitely in the scene, obviously, but he seemed resistant to crossing that line personally, always worried about perception.
Right.
He even writes about being scared after taking one Quaalude from Steve Graham. It shows this deep-seated fear about losing control, maybe.
What I find really telling, though, is his realization about dancing in Studio 54. You know, the absolute center of his social universe.
Ah, yeah. That's fascinating. He finally figures out why he can actually stand dancing there.
Which is,
nobody really notices you.
Andy Warhol felt unnoticed at Studio 54.
Exactly. The master of ceremonies, the focal point of it all, realizes he can just blend in because everyone else is too busy performing for each other. The chaos was totally self-absorbed. He could finally be invisible in plain sight.
And that kind of absurdity, that performance, it wasn't just the people, was it? It seeped into the art world, the decor, everything.
Oh, totally. You see it everywhere. Like finding half-plastic wreaths at CZ Guest's house. She was famous for her perfect garden.
The facade?
Or the description of Victor Hugo's new loft having basically nothing in it except a bed and big jars of different kinds of Vaseline. It's just bizarre, the performance of style over substance.
And that Bette Davis moment really captures the fleeting nature of fame, doesn't it?
No, perfectly. He tries to reintroduce himself to her, this Hollywood legend, and all he gets back is this incredibly cold, drawn-out yees before she basically dismisses him. Celebrity acknowledgement is temporary, even for Warhol. #tag outro. So if you kind of pull it all together, this whole deep dive, what the diary really gives you is this social x-ray, right? It shows the immense pressure on everyone to look glamorous, effortless, unbothered. While underneath, they're dealing with incredible vulnerability, sometimes really mundane stuff, sometimes huge scandals. Everyone's performing. And Warhol, he's the ultimate detached observer, just recording it all.
Which brings us to our final thought for you, the listener. Warhol documents this world obsessed with outrageous behavior, where glamour hides crisis, where everyone is constantly performing, and yet his own big worries seem almost practical.
Yeah, protecting his money, managing his health, worrying if a painting might crack in the cold.
Right. So does this diary suggest that underneath all that glittering chaos of the era, the foundation was actually pretty traditional, maybe even fearful, rooted in these very grounded concerns.
It definitely points towards self-preservation being key. I mean, he felt so used and lied to by his younger friends at one point that he actually considered going to church for solace.
Wow, really?
Yeah, but the advice he got instead, the advice that pulled him back to cynicism, was from Steve Rubell. Rubell's take on funerals was, you don't go to mine, I won't go to yours.
Okay.
So the diary kind of forces you to ask, which reaction truly sums up the era he documented? Was it the potential for sacred introspection, or was it that deeply cynical detachment?
The sacred or the cynical? Something to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll see you next time.